Good morning, grade sixes. Welcome to your daily mathematics lesson brought to you by WorksheetCloud.com. Hope you guys are all well and had a really good weekend, and I trust you're looking forward to the week ahead. A reminder of the email address on your screen, grade6@WorksheetCloud.com. Please feel free to send any emails related to the content we're working through, or perhaps there's something that I haven't covered that you'd desperately like me to clarify for you, and I'll be happy to do that should you send an email. Today we're going to be looking at volume. That's our main theme. So we've done area, we've done perimeter, and now the next step is volume. And on either side of our main theme, we've got our warm-ups, challenges, and brain benders. So let's get straight into our warm-up for today. Bit of a space theme. Please tell me the value of each symbol, and then don't forget the pink question mark at the end. Right, let's get those brains into gear. Off you go. So the second last line tells me pretty much where I need to start. So I know that 5 subtract 3 is equal to 2. Right, so I know that the space rocket is 5. So 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. I went and I tried 3 plus 3 to equal 5 plus 1. I did originally try 4 plus 2, but that didn't work. So I had to go and try 3 plus 3. Okay, and then from there I went to the third line, because 0 is equal to 0 multiplied by 5. So then I went to this top line and I put the 0 in. 3 plus 0 is equal to 3. All right, and then I just plugged in the values at the bottom. 3 plus 3 times 5, and we know that we do the 3 multiplied by 5 first, which is equal to 15, and then we add that 3 at the beginning, and our final answer is 18. Okay, let's carry on with our mental maths for today, and there are 8 questions for you, all mental arithmetic questions, all covering past principles that we've done on Worksheet Cloud lessons. So take your time, make sure you check your answers, and then press play to see how you guys got on. Question number 1 is the straightforward addition of decimals, and we agreed that we would add them in a column method, and the most important thing to remember here was that you had the correct numbers in the correct place value columns. Okay, so 6 thousandths plus 7 thousandths give me 13 thousandths, so I need to put the 3 down, carry the 1. Then the 7 hundredths and 9 hundredths is 16 hundredths, plus the 1 gives me 17 hundredths, so I need to carry the 1. And then 2 tenths plus 8 tenths plus the 1 gives me 11 tenths, so I need to carry the 1 unit. And then 1 plus 1 plus 3 is equal to 5. Okay, your checking strategy there would be to take 5,173 and subtract it, and subtract 3,897, and then you should get 1,276, or 5,173 subtract 1,276, and that should give you 3,897. Okay, right, the second one was subtraction of decimals, and really similar. 7,632 subtract 2,875, and again, really important to have the correct numbers in the correct columns. Okay, we can't do 2 minus 5, so we need to borrow. So that's 12 minus 5 is 7. We need to borrow again. 11 minus 7 is 4. We need to borrow again. 15 minus 8 is 7, and 6 minus 2 is 4. Okay, to check, we can say 7 plus 5, is it equal to 12? Yes. Okay. 4 plus 7 plus the additional 1, is it equal to what we have at the top? Sorry, 4 plus 7, is it 11? Yes, it is. 7 and 8, does it give me 15? Yes, it does. And then 4 and 2, does it give me 6 above it? Yes, it does. So there we should know that we are correct. Okay, So there's a couple of checking strategies for you to do, and I highly encourage you to always check all the work that you do. You'll be amazed at how many careless errors we actually do make. 53 multiplied by 25. I'm going to split this into 50 times 25 plus 3 times 25. Okay, I know that 5 times 25 is 125. So then I just need to add the 0 for the multiple of 10, plus 3 times 25 is 75, and now I can just put them together and get 1,325. Okay? Okay, cool. Yes, you could have done the column method there, no problem. And you also could have done a split strategy where you split the 50 and 3 and the 20 and the 5. Short division next, 565 divided by 5. Okay, 5 is into 5 once, into 6 once, left with 1. 1 left over, and then into 15 3 times. And then the check of that is to multiply 113 by 5. So 100 times 5 is 500. 10 times 5 is 50. And then 3 times 5 is 15. And if you add them up, you get your dividend, 565. Okay, question 4, the addition of fractions. So again, a principle we've done a few weeks ago, and we should remember that we need the lowest common denominator of 5 and 3 is 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times, 1 times 5 is 5, plus 5 goes into 15 3 times, 3 times 1 is 3, so my answer there is 8 over 15. 75% is a decimal, so we know that percent is out of 100. Okay, and 175 divided by 100 is 0, leaves me with 75. And just remember the check there was however many zeros are in the denominator, that's how many numbers are after the decimal. And we also know that 75 over 100 is 3/4, and we should know that that is 0.75, which is 75%. And then question 7 was the multiplication of decimals by base 10. And remember, base 10 basically just means 10, 10 times 10, 10 times 10 times 10, 10 cubed. So here we're multiplying by 10 squared, which is 100. And then we know that the number gets 2 decimal places bigger. Okay, so 223,4 times 100. If you multiply it by 10, becomes 234. And then if I multiply it by 1,000, becomes 2,340. Sorry, if I multiply by 100. Okay, so if I multiply it by 10, becomes 234. And then if I multiply it by another 10, 2,340. So 23,4 times 100, 2,340. And then your last question. So look here, the commutative property of multiplication states that you can multiply in any order. So you could say 4 times 5 first, which equals 20, and then 20 times 2, which equals 40. Or you could have done 5 times 2 first, which equals 10, okay, and then 10 times 4, which equals 40. You could have done 4 times 2 equals 8, and then 8 times 5 equals 40. Okay, so I'm just highlighting there that the order of a multiplication sum doesn't matter. You still get the same answer. So you can go and manipulate that order to make the calculation easier for yourself. Our main theme for today is the volume of a cuboid. And you'll remember that for 2D shapes we worked out the area because there were only 2 dimensions, length and width, or length and breadth. And we know that to work out the area of a 2D shape, we just multiplied those 2 components together, and it gave us units of area that measured in squares, indicated by the exponent of 2 above the unit of measurement, so millimeter squared, centimeter squared, meter squared, etc. Okay, and it was squared because there were only 2 dimensions. So that was 1 centimeter squared. Okay, and when we worked out the area, as I'm showing you right now, we only worked out a 2-dimensional square. And you can see that that area is 20 centimeters squared because 5 times 4 is equal to 20. Okay, so that's a little recap on area for you. Then volume of a shape is the amount of space contained within a particular object. Okay, so how much can you put into a box or a cube or a container or a bottle? That is your volume, and that is measured in cubes. And it's indicated by the exponent 3 next to the measurement of unit. So millimeter cubed, centimeter cubed, etc. And it's cubed because we are multiplying 3 dimensions together, which is your length, your width, and your height, or length, breadth, height. Okay, so there you can see 1 times 1 times 1 gives me 1 centimeter cubed, and we need to figure out how many of those 1 centimeter cubes are going to fit into this cuboid on the screen. Okay, and there you can see in one layer we've got 20 centimeter cubed, in 2 layers 40, and in 3 layers 60 centimeters cubed. And that, I'm hoping you've worked out, is 4 times 5 times 3. That is also equal to 20. So your equation, or your formula, sorry, for working out volume is going to be length times breadth times height. 4 times 5 times 3. And remember, the order of your multiplication sum doesn't matter. You're going to get to the same answer, so you can manipulate the order to make it easier for yourself. Okay, so here we're going to work through 3 examples, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to do your own. So just to consolidate the information from the previous slide, we need to work out the volume of the cube measuring 4 by 3 by 3 at the top. Okay, and there I've split it for you up into 1 millimeter cubes. Now we need to figure out how many cubes are in there, and yes, you can count layer by layer, but I'm sure you'll realize that to split it up into 1 millimeter cubes like I've done on the right is not exactly time effective. So what we can do is we can just say 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 is going to give us 36 millimeters cubed, and the important thing to remember there is the unit, millimeter, and the exponent 3 to indicate volume. Okay, so 36 millimeter cubed. For the second block, I've split it up for you again just to show you what I'm looking for. How many of those 1 centimeter cubed blocks are in that big shape. You can count them, or we can simply go 2 times 7 times 6. That's going to give me 84 centimeters cubed. Okay, and then your last one at the bottom, there I've split it up again just to visually represent what we're looking for. We can go 9 times 4 times 6 to get 216 feet. Okay, and that's going to give us the answer of 216 feet. And I've asked you if you remember how many yards cubed that will be. So I'm going to remind you that there are 3 feet in 1 yard, so that would be equal to 72 yards cubed. 216 divided by 3 is 72 yards cubed. Okay, so I hope that's given you a better idea of how to calculate volume. Just remember length times breadth times height. Okay, or length times width times height. Right, there are 5 questions for you to do. Press pause and let's see how you get on and whether you can get the correct answers. Cuboid, and just notice here that cuboids take many different shapes. So your top cuboid is length 8, width 4, height 2. Okay, so there we just need to multiply 2 times 8 times 4, and that's going to give me 64. Okay, so you could have gone 2 times 8 is 16, 16 times 4 is 64. You could have said 2 times 4 is 8, and then 8 times 8 is 64, or 8 times 4 is 32, and multiply that by 2 and get 64. Okay. Question 2, volume is length times width times height. So 2 times 3 times 5, and again manipulate that calculation so it's easy for you to figure out the answer of 30 centimeters cubed. And your third one, 5 times 5 times 5, and that's a cube of volume 125 centimeters cubed. Okay, so here are some decimal questions. So a little bit of an extension, and so here we're going to see, can you work out the volume, and can you also work out multiplication of decimals? So let's see how you guys get on with these. Notice that it says round off to 1 decimal place, so round off to the nearest tenth. So there's a couple of things thrown into the screen that you need to remember. And let's see how you guys get on. So in question number 1, I would have gone 23 times 96 times 5. That would have given me an answer of 11,040, and then I would have divided that by 10 twice, and that would have given me 110,4. The same with question 2. I would have said 81 times 12 times 13 would have given me an answer of 12,640. I would have then divided by 10 twice, because remember I multiplied by 10 twice in the beginning to remove the decimal, and dividing by 10 twice would have given me 126,4. And with question number 3, I would have done 31 cubed. 31 cubed would have given me 29,800, and then I need to divide by 10 3 times, and that gives me 29,8 centimeters cubed. If you need to clarify multiplication of decimals, then on WorksheetCloud.com there is a lesson with an online activity and memo for you to go and brush up that knowledge. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so here's some real life objects I thought it would be interesting to work out. We all use books. Well, I hope we all use books. I'm pretty sure we've all packed or unpacked a box. And then perhaps you did have those alphabet blocks when you were much younger. So I'd like you to go work out the volume of those 3 real life objects. This is your last volume practice for today. And then let's see how you guys get on with that. Meters by 13 by 21. Multiply those together. I'm going to get 819 centimeters cubed. For your alphabet block, you're going to go 6 cubed. So 6 times 6 times 6. 6 times 6, 36. And then 36 times 6 is 216 centimeters cubed. And then for your first class box, you're going to have decimals again. And again, I would encourage you to say 13 times 18 times 11. So you would have multiplied by 10 3 times, which effectively is the same as multiplying by 1,000. So if you had done 13 times 18 times 11, you'd have had 2,574. Then you need to divide that by 1,000, or divide that by 10 3 times, and you would have got 2,574 meters cubed. Okay, so guys, that is volume of cuboids in grade 6. That's what we concentrate on. The only other thing to think about when we're thinking about volume in grade 6 is the volume of compound shapes. Now, it's very similar to the to the area of compound shapes, where, if you recall, we split up the compound shape into different rectangles, worked out the area of each rectangle, and then added those areas up at the end to get the total area. Now, working out the volume of a compound shape is the same principle. We would separate the compound shape, which I've done for you on the screen, into a Smurf blue on the left. So there is a cube of 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters on the left. There is a pink, or possibly that's lilac, cuboid on the top right, and that's 5 by 2, and then we need to work out a missing measurement. And the same with the yellow cuboid is 12 by 3, and we also need to work out a missing measurement. So let's have a look at how we do this. The first volume of the Smurf blue cuboid is going to be 8 times 8 times 8, which is 512 centimeters cubed. Okay, so here the volume of the yellow cuboid, the length is 12, the height is 3, but we needed to recognize that the width is 8. So the width of the yellow cuboid is going to be the same as the Smurf blue cuboid on the left. Okay, so that's one thing that we needed to recognize there. And then the pink or lilac cuboid at the top right is going to be 5 by 2 by 8, and again we needed to recognize that the width is going to be 8. So you can see for the lilac and the yellow cuboid, they've left out the measurement of 8 in the hopes that you'll be able to identify that width based on the width of the 8 by 8 by 8 cube on the left. Now that I've got all three volumes, I can simply add them together, and we get a total of 880 centimeters cubed. You might be asked on the odd occasion to work out the volume of a shape where perhaps they give you the length in centimeters, the width in millimeters, and then the height in centimeters. So just remember, it's the same with area. You must be working in the same units of measurement. So it must all be millimeters, or all be centimeters, or all be meters. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to work out the correct answer. You got to be working with the same unit of measurement. So you might just have to convert in the beginning. And remember to try and convert into a measurement that's going to avoid you having to use decimals. And that's just going to make your life much easier moving forward. Okay, grade sixes, that's our main theme for today, volume of cubes and cuboids. I hope you guys either learned something new or managed to consolidate some information that you might have learned previously. Please feel free to send me any requests, feedback, comments at grade6@worksheetcloud.com. Here is your brain bender and finisher for today, the game of 24. And you guys are on the a little bit more difficult level of blue. And I ultimately want to move you on to the highest level, which is yellow. And by now I'm sure you know that you need to use each of the 4 numbers on each card. So the first card is 6865. So using 6865, can you come up with an answer of 24 using plus, minus, multiply, divide, a combination of the 4 operations, or perhaps just one of them or 2 of them? It's up to you. And the second part of the challenge is how many different ways can you get the answer of 24? I'd love to see a challenge board or leaderboard that someone's made at home with who's winning and who's been nominating forfeits for whoever's not winning. That would be really interesting. But grade sixes, thanks very much for tuning in today. Have a really good week ahead. Keep your eye out for Wednesday's lesson, as I'm going to go through some examination preparation and practice for you, and then we'll go through some exam assessment or assessment questions based on the work that we've already done. So keep your eye out for that. There might be some handy tips and advice for you to follow going into assessments. Guys, have a cool day. All the best and keep safe. Cheers.